Many of you guys know my next guest, Rebecca CRUZ, because she and I have the privilege of teaching a few times a month on the portion. So today you all get to meet her kind of from a different angle. So I'm going to tell you a little about her, and then I'm going to be quiet because you really want to hear from her. So Rebecca is the owner of Audience of One Creations and author of the book, Awesomely Distinguished, a 40-week journey of blessing for mother and child, published in both English and Spanish. Awesomely Distinguished is a unique journal that gives the mommy-to-be and her baby the opportunity to bond not only with each other week to week, but with God as well. This is an amazing book, by the way. Everyone go buy it right now. Each week focuses on a character trait that the mother would like to pray over and promote in her child. There is information, regarding the baby's physical growth week to week. Additionally, a wonderful section of the book that focuses on the attributes of God's character. This provides a way for the mother to introduce these aspects of God's character to her child, and in doing so, foster an intimate and healthy relationship with God to provide the best beginning as possible. I will say, insert Charlie comment here, is that way better than what to expect when you're expecting. Rebecca's newest publication, the first book of a 4-book series of devotionals, is titled Establishing His Name, Exploring the Width and the Depth of God's Character. This devotional series focuses on the attributes of God as found in the Hebrew language of the scriptures. Throughout the devotional, Rebecca challenges the reader to identify how God has manifested these attributes in their lives. It provides space for the reader to meditate on the word, as well as to journal about their experience and discoveries. Super great, by the way, for your home group or a online study with your friends. Establishing His Name is meant to, she's not paying me for this, to provide the reader to dig deeper into building an intimate and thriving relationship with God. Okay, you guys, here's about Rebecca. Now, Rebecca has been studying the Hebraic roots of her faith for more than 20 years. Her multicultural background and bilingualism has afforded her the opportunity to appreciate and embrace the global body, the Messiah of Israel. Oh, so good. She works closely with her local congregation as the praise and worship leader and one of the teachers of the word. In addition, she provides translation in English and Spanish for services on a weekly basis. Rebecca is currently working on her Master of Divinity with Kairos Seminary. Is that how you say it? Kairos Seminary. She also has spent the past year contributing regularly and teaching with me in the weekly Parsha with the Rooted Kafe. One of her greatest joys is teaching the body of Messiah the beauty of God's word in a way that encourages all to dive in and not to be intimidated. She firmly believes that God's word is meant to be accessible for all and encourages everyone to engage with God's word to forge an intimate and purposeful relationship with the Father. Rebecca is available for interviews and women's events and speaking engagements. Yes, 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 yes. Hey, welcome to MESSI Antics.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
This is really fun. A whole different way for us. And like, we know each other pretty well. Rebecca and I are like the texters at 2 a.m. Like, why are you up? Why are you up? Why are you up? I love all of your books. Can you just give us a quick, what brought you to book? You're awesomely distinguished. I want to start there. What brought you to, inspired you to write that book?
It happened when I went to a cousin's house and she was showing me stuff that she had gotten from her baby shower, and my son was already born, and a family member had written some blessings on little note cards and had just given her the pack of note cards as part of her gift. And I was like, I would have loved to have had something like that. Mm-hmm. You know, especially when you're a first-time mom, you're just worried about them having 10 fingers and 10 toes and breathing. Like, you know, that's kind of like where you're at. And in particular, my pregnancy was very complicated. It was really rough. So I was concerned more about physical things and stuff like that, but I would have loved to have that reminder and that kind of like prompt, you know, sometimes you need a help to just kind of think about things in a different way and to prepare and all that kind of stuff. So that's where it all started. But God took me through a journey from when that took place, seeing that, to the culmination of the book, of about maybe 15 years, close to 15 years before I wrote anything. Because I really think that God needed to take me through the process of being a parent to be able to write from that perspective.
Yeah, and I appreciate it so much. And I know that I've given it as a gift to someone. And and she adores it. And I'm like that person in the wings now, who's having a baby, because I want to buy another, I want to get it for them because it's so important. I will make sure that your website is in our show notes, whether it's on YouTube or at the bottom of this podcast, because you are going to want to go. That's not the only thing they can find there in your special little website. Now, what else can they find? What else do you do?
There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's like t-shirts, there's hoodies, there's crew necks, there's home decor, there's tote bags. I have come to realize that my heart is that of a creative, and so my mind is constantly going. And when I see stuff, one of the things that really bothered me during the pandemic, we were all home and everybody kind of reinvented themselves during that time. And you saw crafts explode and small businesses explode and stuff like that. And there were a lot of people that I had followed for many years because they did makeup on YouTube. That's where I learned, everything, right? And I had been following people for a long time. And then as they grew older and that became like a very saturated market, they all kind of ventured out into other things, lifestyle and clothing and all this kind of stuff. And I started seeing people that I had been following for so long start these businesses, and they would start these t-shirt companies, and all of them were like vulgar sayings and like nothing of value whatsoever. And they were selling them super expensive, and they would throw out like 4 in a collection, and then people were buying the collection like they couldn't keep it in stock. And I was like, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they told me, I was telling them about t-shirts, and I said, sometimes I'm wearing one. There's one that I have that says "Iftach Becha," which means I will trust in you. And sometimes I'm wearing it just because it's a clean t-shirt in my closet, let's be honest,
Yeah.
And I'm going through something, and I look and I happen to see in the reflection of the mirror, the car or something. And I remember that that I'm choosing to trust in him. And she said to me, "Oh, they're your seats." And I said, "I never thought of it that way." Now, hear me clearly. I'm not saying that they replace seats. Let's keep this in context or whatever. Right. But it's just a tool or a resource to kind of remind me whose I am and what I'm about in this life. Like, who am I going to put my trust in, and that kind of thing. So for me, it was just a way to kind of, in my own little way, to combat that which is being put out into the world, So
jump on right now, because she has great Sukkot shirt. She has great shirt. Just so many great fun things. I was watching you on TikTok, some of the stuff that you're putting out there, and we'll make sure all the places are in the comments. I'm so enjoying your creativity. I love all your home decor. I love everything. And I'm just trying to keep it orange, or else I have a couple of your t-shirts that I love. I love that people are like, "Oh, I have the Zakar one, and I have the first one you gave me. What is
Kavanah?
Yes, Kavanah. And I love that people are like, "Oh, what does that mean?" Or, "Oh," and they come to me, it is something that brings attention, but it also is, again, a remembrance. I love that you referred to them as that. It's no different than when we would have the bumper stickers or, different things. It's a way to remind us that this is what we stand for, and this is who we are. So thank you for representing the kingdom well. Tell me a little bit about your story on how you were awakened to Torah. How did it come alive to you?
So it happened like more than 20 years ago, way more than 20 years ago. My mother's cousin discovered that we had Jewish ancestry. And he began to just dig into that, and he came for a visit. So my mother's Costa Rican and my father's Puerto Rican. My father actually just discovered that he also has, which is really, really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, really cool. Along with Irish, which is so random, but that's cool too.
It's really cool, not because everybody needs to have Jewish blood. It's cool because of
you learn about where you come from.
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
All that. So he came for a visit from Costa Rica, and he just started sharing. And when he started sharing about the connections that we don't readily see in Christianity, I was born in the church. That's what you did on Sundays. I was the annoying kid in Sunday school, answering all the questions. I loved everything about it from the beginning. So I didn't have an issue. Superbook was my, go-to kind of a thing. So when he came and he started explaining things from a Jewish perspective and just seeing the Hebraic roots of the faith, it filled so many mental lagoons, and things just kind of went click. And I was like, "Oh, this makes so much sense. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's what that means. Oh, hyperlink. Yeah,
exactly." And so for me, I just kind of dove headfirst. I had no issues, and I know everybody's walk is different, but in my sense, it was just like, oh, it makes total sense. It was the logical next step. And so for me to kind of leave certain practices behind and leave certain things behind as you continue to grow and as you continue to study the word, it wasn't an issue for me. So by the time my son was born, my son has never celebrated a Christmas or never celebrated, in that kind of a sense, whatever, because we just did other things and it's so, I was talking to somebody the other day and I said to them, you know something? God is so fair. He asks us to afflict our souls or, our bodies one day out of the year. The 364, you get to do what, it's on you.
Sukkot party.
And then we have all these feasts,
Yeah.
When you think about the tithe, he's only asking for 10%. He wants you to keep 90. Right. So when you look at these last passages in the portion that we've been studying this past week, when he says, the word is not far off. It's easy. You don't have to ask somebody to go get it high up in a mountain or across the ocean. It's easy. It's here. It's easy to walk it out if you just kind of take a look at it and see that what he wants, he does it from a perspective of love and relationship. Right. Instead of like,
Yeah, so you're not giving up anything. It's so full now. It's like once you've embraced his calendar, oh my goodness, it's so full. You have so much more than going maybe some of the cultural, and maybe you're still walking both, and that's fine. We're not, it's just in the process you realize, wow, there's a lot, and it's so full, and he has so much for us that we get to practice this out. Speaking of practicing, tell me some time when maybe it got a little messy.
I messed up one time. I was so excited because I was kind of the one that would, for a lot, like, for example, for one, we had a fellowship hall that we rented out that we used to have. And so when we would have the feast, our ceilings were about maybe 18, 20 feet tall. And I made like a huge mountain because it was like for a Shavuot or something. And it was like the mountain, and I had the thunder and the lightning kind of, and I had the camels, and I had the what was it? The Judean Express with camels and the pump. Like I did the whole thing. And so I would set up stuff for kids. One time for Purim, I set up a whole like obstacle course because she had to do everything in secret. Like everything was kind of, so they were all secret agents, and they did like a whole, I would do all these kind of things. And one time I went and I bought marshmallows, and I bought these little things for them to make s'mores at the table and everything. And I didn't realize that the marshmallows were not kosher, that they had. And I was like, and so everybody's like all getting into it. And then somebody's like, wait a minute. And they open up the package. They're like, oh, this is not. And all the kids are like ready with like their, to do it. And I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't,
marshmallow fight.
Yeah, it was. And we've had situations like that, where things kind of, you forget, or it just, and sometimes it's just because you didn't grow up with it. It wasn't something that you anticipated. You're learning to anticipate it now.
Right.
But
you and I both say we are not Torah observant. We are Torah pursuant. We're pursuing this life out. And for those of you who are like listening and you're like, what are they even talking about? In eating biblically clean, we're asked not to eat things made of like horses, and most gluten is made out of either pig or horse, usually horse gluten, like not gluten, but the what do you call it? The gluten.
The hooves?
Yeah. But what do you call
the bone marrow? No.
What's in? I'm trying to think of this. What's the word? It's not gluten, but it's inside of. I see
Why
it.
am I drawing a blank?
I know, me too. Like it's in the marshmallow. The whole thing. The reason why. So
gelatin.
Yes, a lot of gelatin you can buy that's beef gelatin, but a lot of times they make it out of horse hooves. And so that's the reason why they'll say it's not biblically clean. Neither one of us believe that is something that keeps you from heaven. This is not a salvation issue. Oh, no. We're just saying, as your best yes, when God says, hey, this is some things I'd like you not to do. We're just choosing, that's the walk we're choosing, not out of a religion, and it doesn't keep him from loving us. So, but the same thing happened to me, just so I've shared before, like it was my mentor though, and his family were at my house, and I was making s'mores, and they were like, yeah, we don't eat this. So I was like, oh,
yeah. And I felt so bad because the kids were like all ready with like the skewer,
man, all ready to go
like,
in.
Wait a minute. And I was like,
oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, we order it now from Amazon, like buy the thing. We just buy the bagfuls,
Oh
especially
yeah.
coming up with Sukkot coming up. We have packages of them ready to go. So what is your favorite place? I'm going to kind of jump into a rapid fire, but I know that might take a little longer than a rapid fire because I have some good questions for you. What's your favorite place to visit in Israel?
My favorite place to visit in Israel is Caesarea.
And why? Why is that?
Because it's one of the places that most feels like I go back in time, because I had a picture before I lost it. There, it's all ruins, and they used to have the chariot races and stuff there, and you have the Mediterranean right there, and it's just really beautiful and everything. And I had a picture of Isaac kind of like running when he was like 3 years old, like running down the chariot line. You can see the two rows, but it's the kind of place that kind of really throws me back, where I kind of feel like I'm in the Mediterranean in biblical times. So that's one of the places.
That. What's your next favorite place?
My next favorite place would have to be, there's a place called Rosh Pina.
Okay.
And it's up in the north. It's the Golan Heights, and it's kind of like if you've ever been here in New Jersey to Princeton,
okay,
which is kind of like they'll have like little galleries and like artsy kind of places or whatever. It's a little town that has like the cobblestone kind of streets, and they have like little kind of places. They have, I think, a synagogue there that's an old synagogue that you can kind of go visit. It's just really a little quaint kind of type of place. And there's a place there, like a little cafe restaurant kind of thing. Everything is chocolate. But when you go in, it's almost like it's made out of a cave. Like the building is made out of a cave, so it has these concave, kind of like really big ceilings, and everything in there is chocolate. So the milkshakes and the pastries and all that kind of stuff. It's just a little different, kind of thing that you don't expect.
I think that's fun. That's what I was thinking. I know you would have some great places instead of like very touristy places. I know you've been there quite a bit and lived there your worship. You did a worship tour school. So what's your favorite breakfast?
My favorite breakfast is I make huevos rancheros and gallo pinto. That's Spanish food. So I make my own sauce. So here when we do Shabbat, we do Shabbat Friday nights, and we go from house to house. So when it's your turn, you cook for everybody. When I make, it's kind of like breakfast for dinner. When I make huevos rancheros, literally people clap and they get excited when they come in the door and they know.
I'm already excited. I want to be there right now. Like I love huevos rancheros. Woo! Okay.
And then gallo pinto gallo is rooster, and pinto means like spotted. So spotted rooster is what it translates to. But it's really rice and beans from the day before, refried and kind of cooked or whatever. And that's a typical Costa Rican breakfast. So when you have that combination, you have happy tummies.
Yum. That makes for that's a setup for a really good Shabbat too. I feel like you're just like, yeah, you're ready. Yeah. Exactly. That's why people want to be Sephardic Jew, because during Passover, because they can have rice, right? Isn't that? Yeah. Who's your hero?
My mama.
I knew it. I already knew the answer to that one. Yes. Yeah. You have a great
one
mom.
of a kind. One of a kind.
Yes, absolutely. What story do you tell most often? Do you have a story you tell all the time?
Oh my gosh, I have so
like
many.
If I'm new and I just met you, you're like, oh, you haven't heard my story yet.
I don't know. There's so many.
About your flood. You have your flood story. You tell that. You think?
Oh yeah, I have the flood story. Yeah, I've been flooded out 3 times, and that's been fun. Yeah. But yeah, no, there's a lot, but probably the Israel story is fun. To talk about going there and winning the scholarship and stuff like that. That's cool.
That was awesome. That's a good story. What motivates you the most?
What motivates me the most? I have to say my son in part. And the other part is there's a fire inside of me that God put there that doesn't give me peace. It kind of pushes me. And even when I feel like I don't know what I'm doing or things are not going right or something, it's like I can't let it die. It doesn't stop. So that's what motivates me. That's good.
So what would you like strangers how would you like them to remember you?
I would hope that they would remember me as a kind person. I would hope that when they interacted with me, they felt like it was a safe place. That's what I would hope.
I would say that's a yes for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think people misunderstand about you?
That's the contronym of the previous question, because oftentimes I'm off in my own head and I'm thinking about, my mind is a million miles away and my face is not very friendly when I'm thinking. Apparently I've been told. And it's funny because I have a little girl that I drive a bus for my uncle's and my aunt's company, and a school bus. And she's new. I think she's only 3 years old. And when she comes in the morning, her face is, I mean, like, if looks could kill, they would need a new bus driver kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so my aunt was like, "Oh, she could be your daughter." We're always saying, "Look at Rebecca. She looks like," and I look really mean apparently, but I don't. My mind is not even there. Like, I don't even see you if you're looking at me. My mind is somewhere else. So I think that people sometimes misunderstand that.
They misunderstand facial. Like, don't
But,
judge what
yeah.
you're saying by what you're thinking by what they see on your face.
Yeah, I promise I don't bite.
I want to encourage everyone to take a minute and just go right now to audienceofonecreations.com, because you will have so much fun just shopping in there. Put it on your list. That I believe one of the things about Torah pursuant communities or Torah communities is that we are financial resources for one another. So when we're looking for gifts, before you run to Amazon to buy something or doing something, would you frequent one of your fellow messianic friends and give to them? And I think that we're supposed to do that. For sure. I think grabbing one of the awesomely distinguished books and having one on the ready for the oh no book, oh no gift, when you find out you have to hurry up and give one for a gift, that you're a great resource for that. Do you have any final thoughts you want to give our audience?
More than anything, I feel like God is just really, really reaching out and trying to reach hearts in a very personal way, because everybody's in a different place. And I just want to encourage people. What's on my heart is that I feel like God is calling and God is pursuing and God is wooing. And sometimes he woos to the desert and we don't exactly like that, but it's the best place to be if you can understand that. And sometimes he's willing to just being alone with him. And it could mean anything for you, but God is calling and God is really, really wanting relationship and really, really wanting to restore relationship if it's gotten cold, or kind of calling you if you've never been there before, if you've never stepped in those waters before. And I really, really feel that God just wants us. He doesn't want things. We just did Yom Kippur, right? And he says, what I want from you is, it's not like a physical fast. Like, that's not even the thing. If that's where you stop, then you miss the whole idea. What I want is you, what I want is for you to walk before me and do the things that I'm asking you to do, because it's for your good. It's because I want the best for you. And so I feel like God is just really calling. There's these two things that are happening right now. The world is calling in a really big way, but God is also calling. It's just that he's more of a gentleman and he's kind of gonna do it in a very more, you have to really be paying attention. So it's that Shema, it's like perk up your ears, because God is calling and God wants to do things, and he just wants you. And if you can hear that, and if you can accept that, and if you can go towards that, that's like A+ right there, like everything.
That's beautiful. Thank you for everything. Thank you for that word, because I believe that's a word in due season right now. Thank you for everything. How much you're loved.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see what he's going to be doing this year, because I know there's some secrets coming, and we'll make sure that we announce them. We'll have you back so you can announce them when they come around. Some fun stuff going on. So everyone be blessed. Remember, sometimes it does get a little messy, but that's okay, because he just wants your heart.